I'll be offering social studies, biology, geography. Like, share and subscribe for more videos. Welcome to Angie Academy. So today we are looking at a grade 9 topic on conflict, and we are also going to look at conflict resolution. So why did the government decide to put this topic in the grade 9 syllabus? We have discovered that as children are growing or as adolescents are living their lives, they are often in conflict with one another. So this topic is going to help you understand how conflict comes about and also how we can resolve conflict. So we start. What is conflict? So conflict is disagreement among individuals, groups of people, or even nations. Or we can say these are differences that people normally have. So just from the start, you need to know that there are forms of conflict and levels of conflict. Please differentiate those two. So we are going to start with levels of conflict. So levels of conflict are as follows. We have one, individual. So these are levels of conflict. So now, what is individual conflict? So this is any conflict between two people or one person with a group of people. So that is individual conflict. You can even have one person fighting maybe the rest of the class or disagreeing with the rest of the class, or two people disagreeing with the rest of the class. So that is individual conflict. So this conflict, we can experience it in our families, maybe the elder sister fighting with the younger brother, or we can also have two friends that have differed because they cannot agree on something, or even total strangers. For example, you are riding a bicycle and you hammer into someone. So you can differ with this person whom you have injured. So it can be conflict among the people whom you know each other, or even strangers. Very good. So the next level is family. So this is the conflict which involves different or various family members or even relatives. So it can be, for example, a mother quarreling with the children because the children have misbehaved. Or another example, grandparents who disagree with their sons and daughters on how to discipline their grandchildren. Usually, grandparents, they love their grandchildren and they don't even want their grandchildren to be even spanked when they make a mistake. So they can differ with their own children because they want their grandchildren to be raised in a caring manner, and they don't want to disturb their grandchildren. So even that is also a level of conflict. Or another example can be a man who has divorced his wife and has married another woman, and this woman now starts to mistreat the children. So there can be conflict between the husband and the wife, or between these children whom this woman is fighting with and herself. Very good. Then another level of conflict is community. So this is the conflict or disagreement among groups of people. For example, different ethnic groups in an area or in a community can disagree on traditions or cultural practices. We can also have maybe one church differing with another church, maybe on the use of the school. You know, there are some churches that meet at a school where they gather because they don't have infrastructure. So maybe they can start disagreeing. Well, we are the ones who are supposed to meet on a Friday. No, you agreed with the head teacher that you'll be meeting on Thursday. How come you have even started coming on a Friday? So all those are levels of conflict. We are still on levels of conflict. Let's look at national. So this is the disagreement or differences which involves the entire nation. So for example, having a civil war. So it can be a civil war between the government and the rebels. For example, like what happened in Somalia and also Congo DR. Or we can also have differences between ethnic groups, and thus leading to a civil war. So one ethnic group can start a war with another ethnic groups, and other groups start joining these two groups, and then in the end you have a civil war. Very good. Then we also have national conflict. So this is the conflict which involves different nations or many nations. So for example, during the Second World War, this was a period between 1939 to 1945, many countries were in conflict. Or we can have a difference between two countries, such as Sudan and South Sudan. We have heard of these conflicts that have taken ages to be solved because of the religion. There's those in the south, they are Muslims, those in the north, they are Christians. And so they fight because of religion. And also because they have oil and they don't want these two countries to share. Remember, this was one country which was divided into two. And so they keep on fighting. Very good. Now, since we are done with the levels of conflict, like I said earlier on, you need to differentiate between levels and forms of conflict. So now we go to forms of conflict. So, the forms of conflict, we have differences in culture and belief systems, such as one ethnic group discriminating against another, or even killing members of another ethnic group because they think one group is superior and the other one is inferior. For example, like what happened in Rwanda in 1994 during the Rwanda genocide. There were only two tribes in that country, the Hutus and the Tutsis, and that's how they fought and led to many people being killed in that country. Very good. Then we also have fights over limited resources, such as not having enough food, not having enough minerals, or one group is getting the minerals and others are not benefiting, or even fights over money. For example, we have trade unions who often differ with companies or even the government over the unfairness of the salaries of the workers. So all the time they want to speak on behalf of the workers, and as a result they keep on differing. Very good. Okay, another form of conflict is disagreements related to social relationships. Social relationships such as married people or couples who are married, members of a religious group. So, for example, long-standing disagreements between husband and wives can lead to physical or emotional abuse. Like if a woman always burns food and the husband keeps on reminding this woman. So when the husband is tired of this, can even cause a fight, either a physical fight or starts to abuse the woman. Where you come from, all of you burn food, such kind of emotional insults. This can cause conflicts between the husband and the wife. This is because this is what this woman has been doing, or once in a while this is what the woman does, burning of food. So one day it can cause conflict. Very good. Or maybe disagreements between members of the same church, and this could lead others to leave the church. For example, if maybe there is one pastor who preaches well and the other one doesn't prepare so well, so people will like this one who prepares so well and others might not like the other one, and then the two pastors can differ, or they can start enticing the ones whom they feel that these ones are drawn to me, and this can cause conflict in the church, and you find that people will start leaving the church. Very good. Okay, so let's look at the causes of conflict. Economic inequalities. So this one is mainly based on natural resources. So unequal distribution of natural resources and economic development in a nation can cause people to fight. For example, if one part of the country has got minerals or natural resources and the government even brings development to such a place, to that place, then people from the rest of the country can rise up and fight. For example, like what is happening in Congo DR. The rebels would want to get the minerals and use them for themselves, but the government wants to extract the minerals and use the resources or the money that they are going to get after they sell these minerals to develop the nation. So as a result, there is always conflict between the government and the rebels in Congo DR. This can also be an example of one country between one country with another country. For Congo DR, it is a country within the country. But we also had the experience of Iraq and America. Because of the oil that is found in Iraq, America attacked Iraq. So that is a conflict because of the natural resources between the two countries. Very good. Another cause for conflict is desire for power. What do we mean? So there are certain individuals and groups of people who have such a strong need to dominate and to control others, such that they can use violence to achieve their aims, or they can look for means and ways of being in power. And this leads to clashes between different people. For example, especially the countries that are led by the military, you find that this general is so strong and wants to be the leader. And like what happened in Congo DR at some point, the army took over the government. We also have Uganda. So there are some groups of people or individuals who really have strong need to be in power. And as a result, they use all forms or any means for them to get to the top. And as a result, people will rise up to fight. Because if you want to be a leader, people should choose you, or people should go for elections. Very good. Okay, another cause of conflict is social inequality. So under social inequality, we have so many things that cause people to start fighting or to start conflict. So we start with discrimination. This is when one group denies another group their rights. So when one group denies another group their rights, those ones whose rights have been denied, they can rise up and start fighting, and that's how conflict can begin. Then we have also ethnicity. This is when one group feels superior over another, and as such, the group that is considered inferior will rise up and fight. For example, there are differences in ethnic groups. This culture practices this, and another culture practices that. So one person can say, your culture, what you practice in your culture, doesn't make sense. And that other culture, because they have heard someone making such a comment which they don't like, they can rise up and start fighting. Very good. Then we also have racism. What is racism? It's a belief that natural differences, such as people's ethnic group or skin color, determine their worth. And as a result, the group that is looked down upon can start to fight. Like what is happening nowadays in Tanzania. A group of albinos, because they are kind of minority, many people are fighting them. Not really as in fighting with them, but they are killing the albinos for rituals and just also because of their skin color. So such conflicts, if maybe the albinos, they would work together and they fight back, this is going to cause what? Conflict. So the Tanzanian government is discouraging people who are doing such acts, and many people have also been arrested for the same. We are still on social conflict. So number C, we have xenophobia. So this refers to the attacks on foreigners in a country. This type of conflict tends to happen when refugees flee wars or poverty or hunger to neighboring countries. So the locals or the owners of the country feel that the foreigners are taking away their jobs and opportunities. So the local people will rise up and fight the foreigners. For example, we have had experience many Zambians being killed in South Africa, many Malawians being killed in South Africa. Why? Because they have gone to South Africa to work, and the locals, maybe they don't have employment. And so we have had truck drivers being burnt in their trucks, some Zambians being shot, and even some Malawians being burnt in their homes or in their houses. So all these are under social conflict. But of course, we don't allow this. Even in our country also, we have had problems of Zambians complaining about the Chinese coming to work in our country, and sometimes they have beaten up Chinese. And also it happens, some Chinese in China are also beating up and even killing Africans because they feel that the Africans are taking over their jobs and different opportunities. Very good. Okay, so for today we are done, so we can look at an exercise. I'll be giving you a chance, let's say 5 seconds to think of an answer. So we start our exercise. List any 3 levels of conflict. Remember, I say that forms and levels are different, so think about the answers. Very good, you might be right. So the levels of conflict, we have individual level, family level, community level, national level, and international level. But the question requires you to mention only 3 levels. Very good. Then explain on any one cause of conflict. What are the causes of conflict? Very good. So here they can ask you to write causes of conflict in an essay. So like we talked about in the previous video, when you are answering a question which requires you to explain, you need to write in a paragraph, and you have to give at least some details of that particular item. So in this situation we can talk of desire for power, we can talk of xenophobia, we can talk of ethnicity. So maybe let's talk about desire for power. So there are certain individuals as well as groups of people who really desire to be in control or to be in charge. And so they will use all means for them to be on top or for them to be in power. As a result, they will cause conflict. So if they are not elected into office, they can use the army or they can use the rebels to fight against the government so that they can be in power. Very good. The last question. Define conflict. Very good. So conflict is a disagreement between people, families, communities, nations, or among nations, or just the differences between individuals, groups of people, or even nations. Or we can also say it is the absence of peace. Very good. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Angie YouTube channel. Catch ya next time.